What is up, Insaners? How are you guys doing? We are finally back after a week-long break. Welcome to our Game Week 3 preview video where we'll be reviewing all the fixtures for Game Week 3 and talk about some really pressing issues from an FPL point of view. Gotten a couple of game weeks, guys. There's some positives and negatives, so we'll cover all of it and help you set up the best team possible for Game Week 3 and beyond. Guys, make sure you hit the like button if you like today's video. You can also subscribe to the channel for regular content and FPL updates. We're quite active on our Instagram and Twitter handles as well, so do remember to check us out. We've provided all the links in the description below, so do follow us there. So we'll start with the fixtures first and do the major talking points in a Q&A style this time. Let's start with the first game of the week. We're starting this week with the cracker, guys. It's Man City versus Arsenal. A bit surprising to start with such a big game. Now Arsenal have lost 2 in a row to Brentford and Chelsea. Chelsea in fact completely outplayed them, and I think it'll be a similar story this week as well. I really feel bad for Arsenal supporters right now, guys. This is a very difficult time for the club. Now, a lot of the main Arsenal team is missing right now. Some because of injury, some because of the COVID issue, and Man City will take advantage of that. They started slow against Tottenham in game week 1, but gave a hammering to Norwich last week. With City having such a deep squad, guys, it's really hard to see them lose or even drop points in this one. Next, there is Aston Villa versus Brentford. Now, both teams would look to consolidate on their okay starts. In fact, guys, Brentford is yet to lose a game and could extend that run this week. Now, there's no confirmation yet, but we might see a bit of Ollie Watkins as well. Now, Villa is missing a couple of key players, and it could be a tricky one for them. Coming to Brentford, guys, and they look quite open against Arsenal, but they did well against a Palace attack. Again, with the likes of Ings, Bundia, and even El Ghazi, the Villa attack will be a lot better than Brentford, but the numbers suggest a very different story. Villa have looked quite average in attack so far, with only 4 shots on target in the 2 games played, and 2 goals coming from penalties, and that might give Brentford some hope, guys. Next is Brighton versus Everton. Now this could be a really interesting game between the two teams who have started the season very strongly. Brighton has 2 wins from 2 games, whereas Everton has a win and a draw. Guys, Brighton's finishing has been a lot better this season. Everton, on the other hand, have a clear game plan to put in a lot of balls in the box and play to Dominic Calvert-Lewin's strength. I'm telling you guys, this could be a great tactical battle between Rafa Benitez and Graham Potter. Coming to Newcastle, who's playing Southampton at home. Now this could be a pretty open game. Both teams have conceded a combined 10 goals, and realistically speaking, guys, I don't see a clean sheet in this one. Newcastle are top for big chances conceded in the 2 games played, and Armstrong and company could take a huge advantage of that. Southampton, guys, it also has its own worries, but they'll be without Vestergaard, and that defense clearly lacks a leader. The likes of Wilson, St. Maximin, and Willock could be the ones to watch out here. Then last place Norwich is facing another tough team in Leicester City, who would be without Perez, who was sent off against West Ham, and would look to bounce back from that heavy defeat. Norwich has conceded 8 goals so far, guys. That's the highest in the league, and this could be a field day for Leicester. I'm expecting a response from Brendan Rodgers' team, and I won't be surprised if Leicester score 3 or 4 goals in this one. Defensively, guys, Leicester has looked a bit shaky, so Norwich might fancy their chances, but it's looking tough for the promoted team. Then we have the league leaders, West Ham United, and I know I'm saying West Ham is leading the table right now. They're absolutely flying right now, guys, and they're facing a struggling Crystal Palace side who look a bit clueless right now. Just a couple of days back, they lost to a second-string Watford team in the Carabao Cup, and those are not good signs. I personally feel the Palace team is lacking direction under Patrick Vieira. Chelsea dominated against them in game week 1, but then Brentford was a different story. Surprisingly, they have only conceded 1 big chance in the 2 games played. West Ham, on the other hand, guys, are the exact opposite. They are top in terms of all attacking stats. You have the likes of Benrahma and Antonio combining really well and doing the job for David Moyes. I think this could be another huge win for the Hammers, guys. We end Saturday with another cracking game. Liverpool is facing Chelsea at Anfield. With the fans back, guys, this will be a great game to watch. We know the strength of Liverpool with Salah, Mane, Firmino and Jota, along with fullbacks Trent and Robertson, who should be back for this game. Defensively, guys, I think they've looked a bit nervy, and probably that is where the likes of Lukaku can take advantage. Lukaku in particular had a huge impact in the impressive win against Arsenal, and he already looks comfortable in a Chelsea shirt. Guys, you know that Tuchel's defensive record with Chelsea is pretty good, and it'll be interesting to see how they're able to cope up with the Liverpool attack. Coming to Sunday's first game, Burnley versus Leeds. Now, Burnley lost really badly last season to Leeds. This time it's early on in the season, and there's a lot to play for, so we might see a different Burnley approach. One thing we are sure of is that Bielsa is not going to change his approach, guys. Leeds will attack from the word go without giving much importance to defending, so there'll be chances for the Burnley attackers, and I'm sure they'll get goal scoring opportunities in this one. Another game, guys, where I don't think there'll be a clean sheet. Next, Tottenham versus Watford. The Harry Kane saga, guys, it might have come to an end for now. We would like to believe that he's not leaving Tottenham, but still a tricky situation for the club. Son also picked up a knock in the warm-up against Wolves, and his fitness was also a matter of concern for Nuno, but it looks okay for now, and he should be fine to face Watford. Talking about Watford, guys, they looked pretty average against Brighton, but there was no attacking threat from any of their forwards or even Sarr, who is their talisman. This is definitely a fixture to target this week, guys, especially from a Tottenham's perspective. We'll cover more of this a little later. Now, coming to the final game of the weekend, it's Man United facing Wolves away. The Wolves have been pretty impressive so far. The only problem they're facing is scoring goals. They played well against Leicester and dominated the game against Tottenham, but were not able to find the back of the net. A lot of it has been because of Adama Traore's poor finishing, guys. I mean, the guy has to learn finishing. They looked a lot more attacking in general and can trouble Man United's defense. Talking about United, and they've had two very different games in the season. They were excellent against Leeds, but really struggled to break down Southampton. Guys, most of it was tactics and starting with the wrong set of players, but hopefully this game will be a bit different. There's a lot of quality in the United attack with Bruno, Greenwood, Sancho, and even Cavani, who might start getting minutes now. This will be a close game, guys. It might not be a straightforward win for Man United. So guys, this was the fixture review. Now let's talk about some of the pressing issues for Game Week 3. The first one is what to do with transfers this week. I think a lot of managers saved a transfer last week as there was nothing much to do. If you are in that category, then you will have 2 free transfers this week. You can only carry 1 transfer from the earlier week, so the minimum that you can do is to make 1 transfer if possible and carry forward 1 transfer to Game Week 4. We'll have the international break after Game Week 3 and a lot can happen between that time and the Game Week 4 deadline, so it's better to keep an additional transfer just in case. Now, there was some talk about some players missing out on Game Week 4 and even 5 because of the COVID restrictions and all of that stuff. I think mostly that shouldn't be a worry anymore, and we won't miss the likes of Salah, Rafinha and Antonio because of that. In general, guys, if you literally don't have any transfer to do, then just burn it. Otherwise, you can use one to probably make some changes to your bench or any players who are injured or are not available to play. Coming to the next one, and this one is really important for a lot of managers. Who is the best budget 4 million defender in the game right now? Now, a lot of people had Tsimikas for the first 2 weeks, but with Robertson mostly returning for Game Week 3, Tsimikas won't be an option anymore. Guys, I still don't understand why he's being bought by almost 300,000 managers already this week. I know he scored a lot of FPL points last week, but this is where you can actually benefit and differentiate from the casual FPL crowd. Guys, there are a couple of options to replace Tsimikas with. The first name is Shane Duffy from Brighton. His ownership has already reached 10% and is expected to increase even further by the Game Week 3 deadline. He's a good short-term option if you are looking to play him in your 11. In terms of stats, guys, he has been really attacking so far. Now he's top among all defenders for shots in the box with 7 and joins second for touches in the penalty area. These are quite promising signs if you are looking at a defender. Now the best part about him is his aerial presence, guys, and that really makes him a threat from set pieces as well. Now the reason I said this is short term is because there's a good chance that he drops to the bench once Veltman comes into the team. Guys, he's surely gonna play Game Week 3, but beyond that, it's a risk. Now Potter might decide to stick with him, and with his price being around 4 million, you're not really losing out on a lot. So I think he's worth a shot. Second option is Livramento from Southampton, guys. Now, the Chelsea loanee has looked pretty good in the 2 games he started so far. I'm expecting him to get more minutes in the coming weeks, and he looks like a good long-term replacement for Tsimikas. Guys, it's cheaper than both Duffy and Tsimikas right now, and you might save that 0.1 million by getting him early. This week Southampton is facing Newcastle, guys, who have struggled defensively, and you can make a case for him playing over the likes of Luke Ayling from Leeds, who might play centre-back, and as a result, could have a reduced attacking output. I'm personally looking to get in Livramento, guys, as he might be more nailed than Duffy, and he has a better set of games going forward. Great, now let's talk about the next point. What to do with Ben White? A lot of people have been asking me this question, guys, and I think it makes sense to address it here. I personally feel Ben White is a hold for now. I know he's out because of COVID and won't feature this week. Now the thing is that most of the people were anyways not planning to play him against Man City, so it doesn't really matter. We have the international break after this, and he should be back in Game Week 4. I think he's still worth holding on as fixtures from Game Week 4 look really good. I mean, let's face it, nobody took White because of his attacking potential. We know that because he doesn't have any, guys. It's mostly for those clean sheet points, and those can come from Game Week 4 onwards. If you are in a position where you have the likes of Weltman, White, and maybe even Amati or Tsimikas as your other defenders, it makes sense to remove Weltman and Tsimikas and get another budget playing defenders instead. I'm personally keeping White, guys. He's on my bench, and let's move on. We'll come to the next one, and this one is who are the midfielders to target and avoid for this week. Now, there are a lot of ways to look at this one, guys. We can start from the premium options. Of course, you have the likes of Salah and Bruno, but both don't have straightforward fixtures this week. It's okay to have them in your team, but this looks like a week for a captaincy punt. Son, if he's fit, he's definitely the standout midfielder this week, guys. If you have him, then you definitely hold on to him and look out for some final information on his injury. I don't think it's serious enough to make him miss the game against Watford, but do keep an eye on that. If he's fit, and that's the case till the game week deadline, guys, he's a great option to have for at least the next couple of weeks. Other than that, I think there's value in holding on to players like Harvey Barnes, who's being transferred out by a lot of players as they have lost patience with him. The numbers don't look that encouraging, guys. Only 8 touches in the penalty area along with 1 goal attempt. That doesn't give a very good reading. Now, there are a couple of things that we should keep in mind. One is that he had only played 70 minutes on average across both games, and that significantly reduces his attacking potential. The other thing that might work slightly in his favor is that he faced 2 tough teams in Wolves and West Ham, and things could look very different against a Norwich team. Overall, I still feel it's worth holding on to him for one more week and then selling him in Game Week 4 if he doesn't perform. Now, coming to Man City, a couple of Man City assets like Gundogan and Grealish could also be worth holding on to this week, guys. Man City is playing Arsenal, who will have a weak starting defense, and both players could benefit from this. If you're short of cash and need better upgrades in other areas of the pitch, then it's a different thing, but I really feel it's worth sticking with both players for at least one more week. The likes of Benrahma, Greenwood, and Rafinha are all really good picks, guys. Benrahma has been in great form. He's already scored 2 goals and provided 2 assists. At 6.2 million, he looks like a bargain, and if you don't have him in your team, you should absolutely try to get him even now. I think the United system with Greenwood up top and Pogba on the left work really well against Leeds, and Solskjaer should revert back to the same setup against Wolves. Guys, Greenwood is still a pretty good pick in my opinion. He's way more nailed than someone like a Jota, who could be benched this week against Chelsea. Now, if you want to go a bit different, then Dele Alli from Tottenham and Demarai Gray could be punty picks going forward. Dele Alli is expected to play a lot more minutes, and he might play a bit more advanced against teams like Watford, who will sit back and defend deep. His price is quite reasonable, guys. Of course, I won't prioritize him over someone like a Benrahma or even a Rafinha, but definitely worth a punt. I think the same also goes for Gray as well. With Everton playing the wide players supporting Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think he could be another high-value FPL asset. He had a great game against Leeds, guys, and looked really solid. Now, Everton have the fixtures, and if he can nail that attacking spot, I'm sure there'll be a lot of attacking returns coming his way. In terms of selling midfielders or avoiding them, guys, I think I just mentioned Jota, and I really feel he's not going to start against Chelsea. Firmino should come in, and maybe it's okay to sell Jota and get in players like Benrahma who are much more nailed. Mahrez is another one who a lot of people think will be benched this week, guys. He was benched last week as well, and the same trend could continue. Now, there are a lot of good downgrades available, and this move could also help you get Lukaku if that is your plan in the future. In general, I think all premium Man City midfielders can be avoided for now. I really think there's better value elsewhere. A lot of people also started transferring in Sancho when he joined Man United, and I'm sure he'll come good at some stage of the season, but for now, he looks like an avoid for me. Personally, I'm not very sure of the Chelsea midfield either. I'm not saying they're bad options in any way. Players like Havertz and Mount, they could be decent options, but again, like with the Man City players, I would rather save that extra million and go for someone like a Greenwood, or even save more to get in Lukaku from the Chelsea attack. Great, with that we finished the midfield section, and let's take up some forward topics now. Which are the best forwards to go for? Now, I think the choices have become a lot clearer now. Antonio and DCL are the ones to have right now. Antonio has been massive for all those who went with him at the start, guys. He's in great form. 6 returns in 2 game weeks is huge. I don't think so he'll be able to maintain the same level, but he's still a great pick. The best thing about him is that he also provides a differential captaincy route in game week 3 against a Palace side who might struggle against West Ham. If you don't have Antonio, make sure you get him in, guys. He looks like a must-have pick for this week. DCL is the second forward to go for right now. Though this week it's a bit tricky against Brighton, don't think that is going to be an easy fixture, but from game week 4, he looks like the second best option. This week a lot of people have Danny Ings guys playing against a Brentford team who will concede a lot of chances in the game. Will I have really tough fixtures from game week 4 and Ings to DCL looks like an easy switch then. There is absolutely no hurry in getting Dominic Calvert-Lewin this week guys, and he can be brought in game week 4. Jimenez could also be an option from next week, but I think DCL is a better option right now. Guys, Wolves are still struggling to finish off their chances, and Jimenez is still getting up to speed after missing the majority of the last season, so I would go with DCL for now, but definitely keep an eye on Jimenez. A lot of people have Tony guys, and if you can use him to upgrade and get Antonio, I would say definitely do it. I think the points potential with Antonio is huge. Now Tony has played a lot deeper than expected, and though he's taking shots and trying to create for his teammates, I think there are better options now since we've got 2 game weeks worth of data. If you can't go for Antonio in a single move, or you don't want to take a hit, then Armstrong is another option you can look at. I think he's been okay for Southampton so far. He scored a goal against Everton, and he'll most probably play in a 2 up front with Che Adams. Coming to the last topic of the video guys, and this is a very interesting one. A lot of people have asked me, is Lukaku a must-have? He had a great game against Arsenal and he ran the show for Chelsea. But the Arsenal defense had absolutely no idea in terms of what to do with him guys. They tried marking him, it didn't work. They tried taking the ball from him, it didn't work. They tried making him face away from the goal, which also didn't work. It was a complete performance from the Chelsea forward guys. Now is he essential? Maybe not. Is it worth getting him in your team? Absolutely. From whatever we've seen and heard, he's going to be the mainstay in the Chelsea attack, and Tuchel will mostly chop and change around him. Yes, the fixtures are a bit tricky. This week it's Liverpool, then Tottenham in game week 5, and Man City in game week 6. He definitely has the ability to score against all these teams, but it really depends on how and in how many moves you can get him. For a lot of people, it'll be 2 moves where they have to downgrade Bruno, Salah, or even Son to probably a mid-price or a budget midfielder and upgrade Ings or probably even your third striker to Lukaku. Guys, there are more ways to do it. Another way of keeping the premiums along with Lukaku would be to have a combination of only 5.5 to 6 million midfielders and invest the additional money to get in Lukaku. I personally don't like this as it makes you lose out on players like Rafinha and Greenwood and go for the cheaper alternatives instead. If you want guys, you can get in Lukaku right now and it would be the right move, but he doesn't look like a must-have just yet. So that'll be all from my side guys. I really hope you'll find this video helpful in taking the right calls and setting up your team for game week 3. Let me know in the comments below if you have any more doubts. Guys, hit the like button if you liked the game week 3 preview video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We'll be back now with our team selection video tomorrow, and then we'll have a deadline stream as usual. Keep tinkering with your teams till then, and I'll see you Insaners next time.